Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to today's video. This video is gonna be about key opens, about how I use them, what they even are, and how you can include them in your trading. So first of all, what even are key opens? Key opens is the price certain times open at. So this, for example, is midnight open, which is midnight in New York, as you can see right here. The next one I use is the daily open. There's a little line down there. This is just where Asia opens, also in New York time, obviously. And the last one I use is 10 a.m., as you can see right here. Oh wow, this is actually a very good example. It just got tapped and ran. All right. Well, anyways, these are the key opens I use. The way they work is price tends to oftentimes tap it and then run. Like the example I just showed right here. Then, I mean, you can find these all over your chart. Right here, the daily open 3 times actually, well, twice. So the way these work is you always need a manipulation. I'm going to show you an example of that right now. So we can honestly just use the example that just presented itself. So what I mean is by manipulation, as you can see right here, obviously how a candle works, it opened right here and closed up there where the body is. Obviously the other way around for bearish candles. Don't think I'm gonna have to explain that to you guys. So the manipulation is this little wick down here. This is the manipulation move of 10 a.m. If you have no wick to the downside, 10 a.m. won't work. It just won't be valid. So an important thing to remember is that you need manipulation for it to be valid. So in this example, we are looking for longs. This is a long biased day. And you need proper manipulation above the key level when you want to look for this direction. So what that means is, if we want to long this, we first need manipulation significantly higher than these highs above the key level. So what do we see here? One second, gonna do it like this. Manipulate above it. Get a proper breakout, a breakout we can use. And then we can, boom, set our limit, take out our fib. Always cover the point 786. You could have your stop loss all the way at the lowest, doesn't really matter. And then you just let it play out. 10 a.m. gets tapped, the stop loss gets edged. As I said, obviously it would be better to have it all the way down here, especially in this case, because this is a rejection block. And then, yeah, boom, obviously plays out. So we had a perfect example of a 10 a.m. on Monday. So I'm gonna mark this out. It's gonna be important. Boom. So this is 9:57, so 10 a.m. opens right here. Manipulate into the 1 hour gap. We open 10 a.m., sweep out this little internal low, sorry. Put in our 10 a.m. open range. Get manipulation down, as I said, obviously super important. And we create a rejection block as well. So this is also obviously combined with the rejection block, kind of the same shit I already explained. Sweep engineered liquidity right here and here. Tap into a major PDRA, get a manipulation above. So now we can set our limit. Yeah, and perfectly get filled, and I think this runs for like a few 100 points. So another thing that is very important to mention, because obviously I'm just showing you winning examples for the sake of this video. There is good losing setups, just because the RR on these is just absolutely insane, especially the way I've combined these or the way I trade them. I'm obviously not the one that made the strategy, but the way I trade it, it's just, you can afford to take a loss. So if this, let's say, manipulates down one more time, comes back up, gonna draw it out as a path, so it's kind of more visual. If we were to come back down, sweep this, get a manipulation above, and then tap it, this is obviously still a valid 10 AM. Not every single good looking 10 AM is gonna work. So, gonna give you guys a good example of 10 AM just not working. This was yesterday. Boom. So the setup for this was this one right here. 5-minute rejection block, aligned with 10 AM. We had manipulation down. We are looking for shorts, so that is completely fine. Obviously you could say this gets tapped, so like you could say it worked, but obviously the purpose is to look for some sort of prominent low, which would have been this here. This was the trade I took. This is a good example of it. Just not working. Also, this just wouldn't be high enough RR for me, to be honest. This is also a big stop loss. But yeah, this is just an example of a good 10 AM that just doesn't play out. And then we see our bias was still correct. And this would have played out. Sometimes it just isn't meant to be. So another thing that I want to mention that I've noticed is that Midnight Open doesn't really work as well in New York session. It's kind of similar to 10 AM. It works the best shortly after it opened, as you can see right here. Also, you see that they happen on the daily basis, like all of them. It's kind of insane. Yeah, technically you could have held this for a 5.2 RR. This is just kind of, nobody really trades at Midnight Open. But yeah, just so you guys know that I don't take Midnight Opens as much into accountability as 10 AM key open. So I want to give you guys one more example, because this includes kind of both things that I was going to mention, so this kind of just makes it easy. You can also obviously use these as take profits as well. So in this case, obviously we get a super big manipulation above. Boom, could have our stop loss right there, and then this would be perfect to take to Midnight Open. Because as I said, Midnight Open isn't always the strongest, especially in New York AM, but it does still get respected a lot of the time. So again, as I'm just scrolling out here, you can see this genuinely just happens on a daily basis. Get a tap right here, we get one here, and then twice after to the tick almost. And then obviously we're gonna get one down here again. Yeah, again, to the tick. Would take this to Midnight Open. And then Midnight Open gets respected and we start dumping down. So yeah. This can't just be used as entries. You can also use them as take profits if you don't really have anything to hold. Because this would technically this would be fine, but this would be too much for me. Between 5 and 6 is kind of the sweet spot for me. 5 and 6 are. And of course, another thing to mention, this is all just small parts of my strategy. If you combine these with each other, combine OTE with key opens and with rejection blocks, this is kind of how you can get a decent win percentage, even though you trade really high RR. So I'm gonna kind of just sum it up for you guys so you can have an overview of what is actually important. So for a key level to be valid, we're gonna need manipulation significantly above the direction we want to go to. So this is the example where I showed you that we need manipulation, especially above the level we want to go to, so we can have a range that we can retrace in, that we can use our OTE in, to find more precise entries and to get the best possible entry. But not only manipulation in the direction we want to go to is important, but also the other one. So that's the example I showed you with the small wick to the downside. That kind of made the rejection block and the whole trade valid. So the next thing is, that is really, really important to mention. Don't just take any key open. Like, this is a very discretionary type of trading, and you're gonna see key levels get hit 40, 50 times in a session. Don't just take any. You gotta pick out the good ones. You gotta pick out the ones with the most confluences. I like to have at least 3. This is kind of the minimum. I wouldn't just enter off of OT and a key open. I'd need, for example, a FVG or a order block or something like that. So I'm just gonna note stack as many confluences as possible. So the last thing that's important to mention for me is that not every failed 10 AM trade is bad. As I said, this is a high RR strategy. If you hit 30%, technically 20% of your trades with a 1 to 6, you're still profitable. If you can get up to a 40-50% win rate, this is like, that's insanely profitable. And you just have room to failure. If you get stopped out once, don't be discouraged to enter again. Obviously, you need the right confluences, but just because you got stopped out once doesn't mean that 10 AM is invalid for the day, or, you know, that you should hop off right away. And then we've got an honorable mention. Rejection blocks with key opens print. Especially in the last weeks, I'd say. I went on a crazy win streak, genuinely basically just trading rejection blocks and key opens. So the examples I gave you on the rejection block, with the tap into a fair value gap, sweep and engineer liquidity, and then having a key open has a super, super high win rate. Obviously, the leg needs to be balanced out. There's a few things to be aware about, but as I said, there is room for failure, so don't be afraid to take a loss. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, if you have any questions, you can join my Discord, ask them, or you can ask them down in the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and reply to them. So if you want to see other confluences that I should talk about, how you could include them in this way of trading, you can let me know in the comments. Obviously, can't really teach you stuff I don't know, so would have to be some ICT concepts. But yeah, I'll let you know if I can make a video about that if you want to ask me. And then hope you guys enjoy your weekend. And I will see you guys either tomorrow if I do make another video like this or a recap on Monday.